The Honesty podcast is a space for women who know that they're meant for a life that's full of magic, excitement and wonder. If you're ready to reconnect with your power and listen to that inner knowing that says you're meant for more, grab a tea, take a breath and let's begin. Hi and welcome back to the Honesty podcast. I'm excited to go into a few different topics this week that I have been reflecting on this morning. The first one being how incredible Devil Wears Prada 2 is. I went to watch it with my boyfriend last night and I fucking loved it. I was nervous because Devil Wears Prada is in my top 5 girly binge watchers. I probably watch it at least once a year. I love it so much. It just gives me this feeling of luxury, and I know it's not to everybody's taste, but I just think it's an incredible film. I was excited and a little bit nervous to go and watch the second film because, let's be honest, the second movies more often than not do not live up to the first ones, but I personally felt like I loved it just as much as the first one. It was an incredible cinema experience. I love a outfit change montage, and yeah, I'm not going to give anything away, no spoilers, but one thing that I took away from it, which I'm really glad that they touched on it during the film, like I think it was really clever the way that they managed to create a storyline so many years later, and I think it only worked because there had been that time in between the first film and the second film, so obviously a lot could have happened during the last 20 years. And yeah, a big thing that they touched on was obviously the digital age and how people are now reading magazines online, and in order to market the magazines, it's what's short form content instead of reading the articles, and yeah, how they've sort of navigated that behind the scenes. And I am somebody who has a Vogue subscription because I love sitting down and reading through a magazine every month. I really get excited for my subscription to be delivered. And it's just something I've done since I was a little girl. I really wanted to be a fashion designer actually when I was younger. I did textiles at school until I was told I was not creative, which is a whole other story. But yeah, I just loved reading magazines. I had my little designer name picked out, and I think reading about fashion and watching things like Devil Wears Prada and Devil Wears Prada 2 just takes me back to that feeling I had when I was a little girl of looking at something that's not only luxurious but creative, and for me it is art. The way that they curate, even how they put the magazine together and photo shoots, you know, there's so much goes into it which obviously we as consumers don't see, and I just find it incredible. And watching the film takes me into their world of how much knowledge you really need to know around fashion, and they don't see it as clothes, they see it as art. So coming back to the digital age, I think that, you know, it is touched upon in the film that we are losing that sense of value when it comes to this creation of art, and how AI is obviously becoming a huge thing. The big message I took away from it is that the reason why we love history and artists from hundreds of years ago is because of the detail and the effort that went into creating these incredible pieces of art. You know, you think about Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo, and it wasn't something that was created quickly. It was an idea brought to life, and it took effort. And also just how incredible their creative minds were to take this idea and then bring it into fruition. And I think that it can be a scary concept, the thought of AI. And I know that there's a lot of noise about it at the minute, but nothing's ever going to take away the value in human beings taking their time to create and bring things out into the world. And I think that's what gives it this priceless effect, is the fact that it took time, it took effort. Not everybody's going to be able to do it because it's these really creative geniuses that are bringing this artwork into the world. So there's something in being human that creates value. And I just was sitting on this after I'd seen the film, and I thought, yeah, that's why there is so much value in beauty, because no machine is going to be able to replicate that. Okay, you might be able to mock things up really quickly, and there is definitely a place for AI, whether people like it or not. It's here. It's going to be part of our society. In fact, it very much is part of our society right now, but it doesn't have to be in every single thing. And I think that while people are freaking out over it, we're forgetting the fact that we love effort, and we've always valued effort and people bringing things to life. Otherwise, we wouldn't have such a fascination with history. And even if you think about Egypt, the big conversation around Egypt, how did humans build the pyramids? That's why we go to them, because of the effort there and the creativity that was at play, and then taking these ideas and the years it took to create these insane historical places. And without the effort and the time and just the thought of what these people did to bring it into existence, I just don't think it would have the same effect. And I don't think AI is going to have that effect. And so as we move more into this digital age, I love the message around just appreciating what humans can create and creativity itself, that we can sit here and have this download of information and then not only have the download, but go out and make it a thing. I just think is so beautiful. And I think actually the more that we lean into digitalizing everything, the more we will actually start to value the people who do the opposite. And that's the way things are going to go. And obviously everything rinses and repeats, doesn't it? You know, once upon a time, it was really cool to have CDs, and then we were just all so excited that you could listen to music on your phones. And then next thing you know, cassettes and collectibles have become a value, like something that would have cost an average thing 40 years ago is suddenly worth a lot more, because there's value in the fact that it's not a quick fix. It takes effort, it takes time. And so yeah, I just loved that message. I wanted to share it because I know that there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of uncertainty. As somebody who really does believe that our reality is created through our thoughts and feelings and beliefs, that if we listen to that noise and start to genuinely believe that AI is going to take over the world and there's going to be so much devastation from it, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if we can tune that out, start to appreciate the beauty in everyday life, in nature, and start to support human beings who are creating and putting incredible pieces of artwork out into the world, be it through clothing or paintings or furniture or whatever it is. The more that we can put our money where our mouth is, basically, because a lot of the time we are very loud about what people should and shouldn't be doing, but we need to start living by that motto as well. I just thought it was a beautiful message, a positive message, and I don't think the film would be so successful and bring that feeling to life if we'd lost that value around beauty and creativity. It just wouldn't hit the same. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I would love to know your thoughts if you've been to see it. I will definitely be watching it again soon. And that also leads me on to another thing that me and my partner were talking about yesterday, which segues into it a little bit, is that when we think of something expansive, so for example, if you were wanting to create a business or start a new venture or travel to a different country, move to a different country, whatever it is, then the idea of that is amazing. Like that download, you can see the vision, but the reality of bringing it into fruition is that it's going to be quite monotonous. It's going to be quite boring at times, and it will take time. That's why when you get to the end goal, and it comes back to that same thing of, when Michelangelo was creating the Sistine Chapel, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. He had a vision and then he stuck with it through probably what was incredibly boring days, painting and creating. And I'm not saying every moment would have felt like that for him, because obviously he loved being creative, but anybody knows who is in that world of bringing something to life, not every moment feels good. In fact, when you start something and then you're like, oh no, I've got days and days to do this and I didn't realise it was going to take so long, it doesn't feel good. And a lot of the time that's where I think people quit, because what they thought it was going to feel like, this great big vision, versus the reality of what it really does feel like as you are bringing it to life, is two completely different energies. And unless there is discipline and devotion in the bigger vision, it's really, really easy to quit. Like, that big vision has to be the number one priority, so that when you are feeling like throwing in the towel, you can tune into it and remember it and then continue. And this is why I always say to my clients, please have a bigger vision when it comes to moving forward. And I'm not saying that you have to be this future self who is totally disassociated from the version you are now. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying that if you are in a place of feeling stuck or unsure, unhappy, in a bit of a rut, then you have to have a bigger vision to be able to get you out of that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to turn up. And that bigger vision doesn't necessarily just mean like picturing yourself. I mean, I think it's really important to start prioritizing what you want and being able to love yourself enough to have an idea of where you want to go that really excites you enough to start moving forward. But I also think that can be in your purpose, your big why for doing anything. And that can be giving back to other people. That can be wanting to change lives and have this impact on the world or your environment, on your community, on your children or partners or family, whatever that is. That vision of change and just this life that you could move towards needs to be big enough and bold enough that you turn up on the days that feel boring as fuck, because that is what every great, successful, creative person, and I'm not just saying creative as in the sense of an artist or someone within a creative field, everything we bring to the world that we've visualized and then taken action on is creating. We are creative beings living in this human experience. Otherwise we wouldn't have ideas to action on. Even like this microphone, for example, will have been an idea at some point, and had that person just sat on the idea, I wouldn't be doing this. It needed somebody to go, okay, what a good but weird concept. I'm going to go out there and practice a little bit and fail and do all the things and pick myself up on the hard days, because I know that this could be phenomenal if I did bring it to life. I have a vision of that, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it, even when it doesn't feel right. So if you are listening to this and you are just feeling that stickiness, or maybe you have the vision and you're in the messy middle, as I like to call it. Me and my friend were saying the other day, we are just trudging through that mud. I'm doing a course at the minute. A lot of my friends are entrepreneurs. There are always ideas flowing through and us wanting to bring things out into the world. And it takes time and it takes persistence and responsibility to turn up, and trust in yourself to turn up as well. Like, you really have to trust that this vision of yours has happened for a reason, and you trust yourself enough to take the action required to go and get it. It's not easy, but if it was, everybody would do it. But just think how proud of yourself you would be once you have woken up one day and the vision has come to life. Because this messy middle, it is the mundane, isn't it? Like, it isn't forever. Otherwise, again, why would anybody bother doing it? Because then nobody ever gets to that point of feeling amazing at the end of it. There is light at the end of the tunnel, but it's just, are you ready and willing to start on that path? Not knowing how long it's going to take, but just knowing that whatever is at the end of it is worth putting one foot in front of the other. And this is what I'm sort of feeling like with creating this podcast, with doing my breathwork course. I have a bigger vision at play and I know where I really want to take this. As I move through this breathwork course, I am embodying the work. Like, I have to do a lot of breathwork naturally to be able to move through the course and complete it. But I have to do this because there are limiting beliefs I have that I need to release in order to become the person who I want to be within the world and my business. I want to speak in front of loads of people. I want to work one-to-one with people and have such an impact that it changes lives. I want to have a global impact. Fuck it, like, that's what I want. I have these big dreams and ambitions, and that version isn't who I am right now. And I was even thinking the other day, like, when I think about who I was a year ago, I wouldn't have done this. I was creating all the excuses not to turn up. I was really in a state of freeze and procrastination. And then now it's like a no-brainer that on a weekend I record my podcast. So it is baby steps. And then I just think, God, where am I going to be in a year? Like, this is so exciting. I've been doing the work. I've been turning up and taking the action. And yeah, the subscribers on YouTube are slowly creeping up. My videos are slowly getting out there to different people. It can feel like, am I even making that much progress? But I know I am, because I'm turning up and doing the work. I trust that this work is going to get me where I need to be. And I trust that the timeline is exactly as it's meant to be as well, because otherwise I'm not creating a sustainable business and I'm not creating the impact that I want to have in the right way, because I'm just not that version yet. We just need to accept that if we are doing this work and taking the time, that things will happen in the way that they're meant to. And I don't want to rush something and do it wrong. I would rather it take longer, but be exactly right, and for me to be exactly right in the process. I was listening to a few different podcasts this week, and there was certain influencers on there that were so scared of losing what they had as they were growing their following, and they got cancelled a number of times because they were just operating from the not self so much that they were doing anything for clicks, likes, to be in the news, and then chasing that constantly, which just was so bad for their nervous systems, drinking loads, partying loads, and were unhappy. And then it's taken coming through that and reassessing to realise that actually they were miserable and probably at the lowest point in their lives, because they weren't creating from a place of authenticity and alignment. They were chasing after something external and not really knowing where they were going. It's important for you to be checking in with yourself to do this work where, even though it is taking time, you know that you are on the right path and you aren't chasing money and external validation and followers for the sake of it. Like, there has to be, again, this bigger vision involved, and for you to check in and be like, am I doing this because I know it's the right thing to do and this is my intuition leading the way, or am I doing it because I'm trying to prove to everybody else that I'm worthy and deserving of this, that I have what it takes, whatever it may be. And I think this is why I love human design as well, because there's centers in the body which are either defined or undefined, and that can show not self behaviors too. So I was working with a client this week, and a big not self behavior that can come through is people pleasing, and then also trying to prove to everybody that they were worthy of success. So being able to look at that and go, okay, yeah, these are big things that are coming up for you. How can we navigate through this and move in a different direction? It's so powerful. So if this resonates with you when you are growing and feeling unsure and can't quite tap into that intuition, or really know if it's the intuition talking, or maybe you needing this external validation, then look up your human design chart and just see what centers are defined and undefined, and look at the not self behaviors, because seeing it written down or on a call or whatever it may be hits different to just second guessing yourself. I think there's an awareness and an acceptance in being like, okay, yeah, actually this is a huge theme that comes through for me, so now I know that I can work with it rather than against it and ignore it. And it really, really does help. There's never been a more important time to take a deep breath, move inwards, and listen to the body over the mind, because the mind is so powerful. But again, it's not fact, it's just thoughts, and these filter into personal beliefs, which again aren't fact. It's like asking yourself, is this true? I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and let me know your thoughts on Devil Wears Prada 2, because I loved it. I also saw a trailer of Practical Magic 2, which comes out in September, which Practical Magic is my favourite film of all time. I loved watching it as a little girl. Me and my sister used to dance around the table with orange juice when Midnight Margaritas came on. So I'm a little bit apprehensive. I noticed that Tinder was mentioned in the trailer, and I'm like, oh, I kind of wish they just kept it a little bit more old school. We really need to be speaking about Tinder, but at the same time, I am excited. And if it's rubbish, I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist, because that's what I did with Pocahontas too. So if it's rubbish, never speak about it again. I can just pretend it doesn't exist. And if it's good, happy days. I've got 2 Practical Magics to watch. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. So I hope you have a lovely week, and I will see you in the next episode. I work with women who know that they're meant for more. If that's you, you'll find everything you need in the show notes.